All right, my friends, welcome to episode 406 of Prof and Dev Play Games, which you are seeing on your feed about 12 hours after 405, because apparently I didn't hit publish on episode 405 last week. My name is Larry. I am a professor with a very hoarse voice from screaming at the NWSL semifinals tonight in San Diego. Over there is Anthony the Dev. He makes games, he plays games, and things are happening to his games.
It is. I noticed you didn't mention about the game. Who won?
You know what? I didn't, because I wanted to get right into the good news.
I think it's pretty good news.
Fuck you, dude. Fuck off.
No.
The Seattle Reign beat the San Diego Wave tonight in the NWSL.
It's not even the Seattle Reign. We were looking
OL
this up.
Reign.
It's
OL
OL,
Reign.
and I'm like, why don't they have the city name? They don't. They don't
Nope.
have the city
It's
name
the OL
in the
Reign.
name.
Yep.
And I was like, what's OL stand for? I had to look this up because Tiffany,
I actually don't know. What is
my
it?
wife, was saying it's a Olympic Lyonnais or something. It's they're
okay.
owned by a French FC group.
Interesting.
And they once that ownership happened, they changed their name to be OL Reign instead of Seattle Reign FC was their original.
God, the Seattle Reign is such a good name, though.
It's a great name. I don't care
my gosh.
OL or whatnot behind, but I'm like, Reign is pretty great.
For Seattle,
It's a great pun. Great pun.
It really is. But it's nice. I was hoping this would be Rapinoe's last game. She's on the Reign, but we're gonna go to the finals next weekend, and it'll be Rapinoe's last game. I guess I hope she wins now. But
Yeah.
man, it was just. I went to see I was there with friends, and I went around the stadium to see my colleagues for 10 minutes. And when I came back, the Reign had scored. I didn't see it. I didn't hear anything because the stadium was absolutely fucking silent.
Yeah, of course.
And then I was like, "What? You missed it?" I was like, "Missed what?" And I looked at the thing. I was like, "What the fuck?" And then the Wave never scored. Oh, fuck, man. Fuck. Anyway,
Wow.
we're here to talk about good news. You want to start with
news.
System Era? There's some public news
Yeah,
about System Era.
so this Wednesday it was announced publicly. System Era is now a first-party studio for Devolver Digital.
Dang, congratulations.
I think it's a good thing. I'm pretty happy. Got an acquisition before, and that didn't work out as great. But
Yeah.
Devolver is very different than EA.
Mhm.
They're a different type of company. I think they are a total, like, the Devolver Digital publishing piece, like, they're non-first-party studios. There's other first-party studios. There's only like 70 people. System Era is
Devolver?
like 45.
Oh, wow, interesting.
So, like, they are much lighter. They're not I wouldn't call them like an umbrella just pulling people in and trying to manage them. They're like, no, we're kind of a coalition of devs. And they're really much more a company of like, what do you need us to do for you? And we'll figure it out. If we don't have it, we'll figure out how to do it. So it should be a good thing. We didn't search out looking to get acquired. We were looking for a publisher. And in the press release of doing all this stuff, we are working on another game. It's specifically stated in there that
Okay.
we are working on a new game. And
Talos Principle 3. Excellent.
exactly. I mean, Crow Team is owned by
Yeah.
Devolver as well. They
They
did
just had
Serious
the
Sam and
release, man.
Talos
Yeah.
Principle.
Wait, they did Serious Sam?
Yeah, Crow Team's original games. The first game Crow Team is, I think they ever made was Serious Sam. They do that franchise.
Okay.
And then Devolver bought them at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's a thing. We are still continuing to work on Astroneer, probably with more support now, because one of the things that this Devolver really was sad about years ago, about 8 years ago, they passed on publishing Astroneer, and they have, as they said, been kicking themselves ever since.
I wonder what made them pass. And then, I mean, I know it
Because
made them
8 years
realize,
ago
fuck.
it was 5 dudes making a
Okay.
game
Uh-huh.
that doesn't look like anything like the game. Kind of looks like the game that's there today, but this is, I think, trying to think, early access? Oh yeah, it wouldn't have even been out of early access yet. So it was kind of just more of a tech demo and demo of kind of like the type of game to be made. So they just didn't see the vision at that point. They were probably a much smaller publisher too at that point. They hadn't had trying to think of their big hits that hit real early. Hotline Miami, whenever that came
Yeah,
out.
right. And who was that made by? That wasn't developed by Devolver,
No,
right?
because Devolver doesn't.
They don't make any games in-house, I assume.
Yeah, it's all these first party.
Yeah.
That was Denaton Games,
Okay.
who are independent. Although they've done Hotline Miami and Hotline Miami 2 were the only ones.
Yeah.
Did they not do anything else? No, they have some new game that they said they announced in 2020.
Okay.
And it wouldn't surprise me if... Yeah, Devolver did Hotline Miami 2, so it wouldn't surprise me if Devolver would be eventually publishing it. It's only 2 people that work at that company, so...
Really?
Yep.
Still? Wow.
Yep.
They outsource some stuff?
Potentially?
Really
who knows?
Do it themselves.
They might just do it themselves.
It's like Team Cherry. It's like 2 people, but I think they outsource some stuff. Maybe they don't.
They probably have to do some.
Yeah. I mean, for Hollow Knight Silksong to come out before December 31st, they really need to step on the gas.
Yeah. So, yep.
Congratulations. That's really great news.
I think it is. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's nice that it's actually out in the open. And I don't think anything's really going to change for the foreseeable future. Continue the path on the new game we're making. Continue the path on Astroneer updates. More than anything, this just solidifies us working on Astroneer at least for another couple years, because they would like us to. So
yeah, they like the game, and people like the game, and
they do.
Yeah,
it has a good tail. If you just think about it from a sales standpoint, it's nice to have a game that continually sells.
I'm sure it's not in the same league, but it feels like, and maybe it's just because of the superficial connection, but it really feels like No Man's Sky to me, where like there's a sale, and then it's in the top of the sales. Like people just continue to buy that game, just like No Man's Sky. Except for No Man's Sky has some pretty fucking chunky updates that I don't think
they really do.
You do, but yeah,
yeah. No Man's Sky has some pretty crazy updates.
Well, there was a financial statement recently. It was like 2021 and 2022, or 2022 and 2023. But it was like in 2021, they sold $15 million worth of game or whatever. And then in 2022, they doubled that. And it's just like they don't have DLC. It's just copies of the fucking game.
Yep. And I think in the Devolver press release, they tried to come up with a name for that. For that type of game. Like that type of model of upfront, you pay, but it's No Man's Sky, it's always on sale when these happen. So $30, and you just know you're getting free updates at a cadence. What did they say? I wish I could find it. It was in the Devolver press release, and it was specifically expandable game title.
Interesting.
They were, and we've talked about it, we're just like, that was what they're in their marketing. They're like, what do we call a game like that? Because it's like, I've heard it in the industry called Premium Plus at times.
Interesting.
But that has more, you're like, that kind of has a connotation to like mobile type.
It sounds like a subscription service too.
Exactly. And like a weird thing like that. It's like, what is this? Expandable game title is what they came up with, which I still isn't completely true, but sure.
It's close enough. And there's something similar where Miles Morales is called this, and then there's talk of a new God of War Ragnarok DLC that's like this. They called it an expand alone.
Oh, sure. Yeah, standalone expansion.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Makes sense.
I love that name.
Which is like, they're like trying to set expectations that this isn't as big as the base game, but you don't actually have to own the base game to play this.
Exactly. Yep.
There's been a few of those over time where it's not super common, but it has been happening a little bit more. And it seems like it works out pretty well. Usually they don't cost full game price. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like Lost Legacy, Uncharted Lost Legacy was like 50.
That's another one. Yep.
Or 40 or whatever. Yeah.
So actually, you just mentioned all those. I'm like, seems like it's Sony is into doing that.
Yeah, can you name anyone else who does that? No, I think it's really just.
There's been a few. I'd have to dig, but I'm pretty sure there's been a few others. But Sony likes it.
Yeah. Well, The Witcher 3, like those 2 DLC packs, I would think of as expandalone, but they weren't alone. They had to have the base game. So.
You still had to have the base game. They were just what you would consider expansions to the base game. Yeah, yep. Oh, interesting. But yeah, it's a good thing there.
Very cool.
It was a weird juxtaposition because the day that so the public knew on, how'd this go this week? Employees got told on Monday, told we couldn't tell anybody, that a close was happening Tuesday. We did close on Tuesday, and we could tell people once the closing was done. Mm-hmm. And then the press went out on midnight Tuesday for us. It was whatever that 7, 8 in the morning. UK, because Devolver's a UK publicly traded company. So that had to go out. So I was still awake at Tuesday night at midnight, and I didn't know that was happening. And then the Wario 64 server posted the trailer in the news. Oh, damn. And I was like, wait, it's out.
That's where you found them?
Yes, that it had been fully announced.
Very cool.
So it's a fun time. Now I'm just going to try to see if I can shove Volvi into a game somewhere.
Yeah, like, are you allowed to do that now?
Probably. I just ask them. Crossover. Just go like, hey, I don't know. I've got to ask if they own. They're not ones to typically own the IP.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Volvi, and maybe that's about it.
Yeah, and any other. Like, we could probably use. They would facilitate us talking with those other.
Yes. Exactly.
Other teams and seeing if they would let us use things. And I wouldn't be opposed for cross-pollination in that way, because that's always fun.
Like, now that you're like in the Devolver family, are you more interested in checking out other Devolver games that you maybe weren't?
Yes.
Like I'm thinking like, okay, never mind. Yes.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, that makes it. I should know what what my parent company is putting out. I need to check out Wizard with a Gun.
It was one. Yep, that one and Talos Principle 2 are both games that I've heard a lot more about on podcasts recently that were nowhere on my radar, and I'm like, I should look at those.
And I mean, they like their weird games, and I like weird games. So,
does that mean Astroneer is a weird game?
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing with it. When I look at Devolver's catalog, they have weird stuff, but then they're the publisher for the Plucky Squire coming out. Not a weird game.
That's true. Not a weird game. Yeah.
Terra Nil was
earlier.
That was Devolver.
Nil? Okay.
Yep. I wouldn't even call Talos Principle a weird game. It's a puzzle game. First-person puzzle game.
It's like a puzzle philosophy game. So the philosophy angle makes it a little bit
weird.
Not weird, but like not typically done. I don't know. Maybe the Witness was that way too, I guess.
Yeah. I'm looking at other. Oh, they did Trek to Yomi. I should try that at some
interesting. It's just a very quality publisher. I think
that's true, and that doesn't
they put out is good.
Yeah, and talking to them, and the whole thing is they've been. If you look at their track record and the games that they release and what they do, it's just like they are consistent in their brand and their willingness to just try things.
Yeah,
it's more their approach is don't confine yourself to just a few bets that may pay off. Try a lot of things. And some of those will pay off really well. And ideally, most of them just make back their money. But then you have the ones that stand out above that and do really well. So it's worked for them overall. I mean, they've been around for 2009 was their first listed game here. So, and that was Serious Sam HD.
Interesting. So they started with Crow Team.
Yep.
Wow. I don't know. I feel like it costs millions and millions of dollars, of course, but like the gamble you're taking on a bunch of smaller studios or smaller games is less.
Yes.
So then when it hit, like when you hit like buy a small stock that doesn't cost a ton of money, and then when it hits, it really fucking hits for you.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Oh.
And I think they historically, like when they were starting, they did like a bunch of Serious Sam stuff that must have done just fine.
Yeah.
Probably not amazing, but found out like working like a good budget to profit ratio going on. And then, I mean, that was for a couple of years, and 3 years in, they published Hotline Miami, and that just blew up.
Yes, exactly.
And then you can just look through here. It's like every every few years they get something or a couple, like they did Ollie Ollie they published, Talos Pencil they published.
That's weird. I think of Ollie Ollie as Roll 7.
They're the
Roll
developer.
Roll 7
Not
is oh, got it.
Not the
Okay.
publisher.
Yep.
And Devolver published Ollie Ollie World as well.
Man, I have that loaded up on my PS5 or Switch or something that I really want to get to, and I still haven't done it yet.
And you see a lot of the same devs continuing to publish with Devolver. Devolver also published Fall Guys originally.
Right.
They sold it. Well, they were publishers. They sold the Fall Guys got bought by Epic, I believe,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then Epic bought out the publishing rights as well.
Interesting.
But I mean, they published Fall Guys originally, and they're like, "Oh wow, we need to build an entire like live service team now."
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
Go.
I wonder if that like leads people to be like, oh yeah, we can sell our stuff to Epic and get out of this because yikes, that's a lot. That's a pivot.
It is a pivot.
Like. And I assume. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that wasn't Devolver's choice. That was the
developer team.
The developer team just was like, we're selling it. Like, I don't think they would say no to the amount of money that they got for that.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately, the management got the money, but now people are being laid off. So. Of that team. So.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking this from like a thing. If you know a thing, don't speculate. But I'm just curious from a publisher perspective in general, not Devolver, but just in publisher in general. Is it like a 30% cut and then the devs get 70, or is there like some sort of other structure and it's different platform?
Different structure if you're a first party.
Okay, got it.
Which I won't go. I can't go into specifics.
Yeah, of course.
We get a better being a first party. The revenues and profits we will see from our next game are much higher than if we were just going through a publishing deal.
Okay, that's interesting.
And that's not everybody. That's just because Devolver does it.
Yeah.
And that how our contract is all focused. It was like, it's one of the reasons why we like the company decided, the owners were like, this probably makes a better sense to sell as opposed to publish. Because also, as the owner said, he doesn't have to worry anymore about, are we going to be bankrupt in 2 years?
Yeah.
Like, that fear is gone now. Like, we have different worries, but that is a fear of like, hey, like, we don't, that pressure of the owners, for the two owners, of being like, we employ a lot of people that have families and stuff, and we don't want to have to tell them, sorry, there's no more company. Like, and this puts a lot more security in that regard.
Yeah.
Because even if our next game, let's say it doesn't hit as big, as far as you can see with Devolver, that's okay. They're not looking for everything to be a hit. There's support there now. At least historically, looking at all their teams and stuff. I think no team has had a consistent track record that they own. Like,
so
that's not the point. The point is support, do the best, get something, take the best bets you can.
Devolver's not going to be Embracer in 5 years.
No, not even close.
Selling everything out and fucking getting rid of teams.
They're small. I mean, the biggest worry is that someone could buy Devolver. But talking to their management, they're like, yeah, it's a fear we've had since we started. And we don't. No one there wants it, but and they think about how not for that to not happen. But I mean, it's just a different worry in that regard. Like, our worries now of System Era have shifted from, okay, does this game we're making have to be truly successful for the studio to exist, to now being like, yeah, we're owned by someone else and it could get bought by somebody. Like, that is possible. Not likely. A majority of the company is still owned by all the founders, more than 50%. So one of the founders would need to say they're out and want to sell all their stock to, the public market. And then that person would have to then go and try to buy up every other amount out there. Right. But that might even be difficult because there's some really long-term institutional investors there, like Sony, NCSoft, NetEase. Sony and NetEase are some of the bigger ones. That I don't think they're gonna sell. They just want to hang out. So it's very interesting. Again, very different than the EA buyout of PopCap in that regard. EA wanted the IP more than anything, but System Era only has one IP, so it's not.
Yeah, because like EA, PopCap, EA, what
they wanted Bejeweled and Plants vs Zombies.
Plants vs Zombies. They did the Modern Warfare with. Did they do anything? Garden Warfare. Did they do anything else with anything else? Mobile stuff, I guess. Peggle Blitz, I guess.
They did Peggle Blitz. They've done some stuff with Peggle. They did some stuff with Bejeweled. There was some other mobile Bejeweled stuff that didn't go anywhere, but they wanted to mine those. Although it sounds like Bejeweled, like Blitz, still does pretty damn well on mobile. So
yeah, what a waste though. What a
fucking It is a waste. I'll give that.
Anyway.
They wanted the IP. They didn't really care about the team, really, when it comes down to it.
Yes, exactly.
Where the difference here is that Devolver really wants the team more than anything.
Well, that's so weird because I just have a hard time divorcing the IP from the team because the team made the IP, and when the team changes, the IP is different.
Yep. Ugh. So excited! It happened. Yes. I'm now part of the Devolver family, and the next time we actually announce the game that we're working on, it will be at some weird ass Devolver presentation.
Oh my god, that's fucking true. Wow. I had not even thought of that. It's gonna be fucking bizarre, weird ass shit.
Oh yeah, Devolver's also publishing Baby Steps.
No, yes. Oh my god, that's great. What a fucking weird ass looking game. Yeah. I want to play that game so bad. Oh my god.
Oh no.
That trailer was the best.
It really was. But okay, yeah. But the dichotomy is this is all going down for us on Tuesday. About 10 miles from us, Bungie was laying off 100 people.
Holy fuck, dude. Bungie seems to have imploded a bit.
Oh yeah, this is from my internal stuff of just tangentially knowing people there. Okay. I thought originally they were like a 700-800 person company. They were 1,400 person company, now 1,300 after layoffs. Which is almost twice as large as I thought they were.
That's really big.
Only be doing Destiny.
Only one game, yeah.
And I mean, they're doing Marathon, but that's years away at this point. 2025 is what the... So I'm just like, how are you surviving?
That's a lot of people for one game.
Yeah. It is a lot of people. Especially for a game that's in... It had great success, but it's not growing anymore. If anything, it's on its tail. It's like it's coming down, and it's not coming. I wouldn't say it's like going off a cliff, but it's just it's a long tail for a game that was very popular. And they haven't been doing a whole lot to reinvigorate people either to come back or it's hard for new people to get in.
Every time I think about booting up Destiny again when there's a new expansion or whatever, it just feels so impenetrable in terms of the lore. Like, what the fuck is this shit? I don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing, so never mind.
Yeah, and I think that's starting to take the toll. And, I mean, there's the rumors that they missed revenue targets by 40%? It was a lot. 35, 40, somewhere in there. It was just like, whoa.
God, it was like 45%, I think. Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. And so which is so unfortunate. It's just like, there's a pretty downward trend at this point on that, and it's going to be a while before they have another game coming out.
Well, and they delayed the final shape till June? Later next year, yeah. Because they're like, we have to get this right or we're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, okay. It's, any live service game, but Destiny 2, for example, as an example, in this year, if it was a year full of games that were terrible, I think you'd have more people playing Destiny 2. This is a game of fucking banger after banger. People are peeling off to play other things.
And Destiny 2 is 6 years old at this point.
God, really?
2017 was when Destiny 2
Oh my god, we're so fucking old.
Anthony. We are. And I mean, like, 6 years for a game to be... Things start having a hard time at that point. There's, like you said, there's a lot of other games coming out. There's a lot of things to pull you away and have time. Mm-hmm. Like, so it doesn't surprise me. It surprises me that there were so many people at that studio.
That's a lot.
It is
is
a
it like
lot of people.
was it like a COVID thing where like they were seeing huge growth, so they decided to
I
staff
don't
up?
know. I mean, they had definitely, it's been in the last 3-4 years. So,
Yeah, all right.
um, so let's see. Times. I mean, just on average, my ballpark average salary per employee, they were spending like, oh, actually, that's probably a little more because we should talk about benefits being added
Benefits,
in there.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So a good average then across the board would be, with inclusion of benefits, about $200,000 a year, a salary
Per person.
per person.
Yeah.
Some quite a bit higher, lower, but it probably average. That's still like $280 million a year just in salaries.
Wow.
And benefits.
That's crazy because going back to the No Man's Sky thing, where like they had made $26 million in that year, that's crazy to me, but that's nothing compared to a big studio. You know, that's like
big
the
studio
burn
like
rate.
that. Like, yeah, the burn rate for a year, they need to be making probably close to $1 billion a year. Yeah. Honestly, for other costs on top of that to be considered hitting targets and profitable.
Right.
That's insane. And I'm sure Destiny was doing it at some point. It's just tapering off.
Well, it's interesting too because the reports at least have been, obviously Sony bought them, but
3.7 billion.
They bought them for that much?
Yeah.
Fuck me, man. I'm in the wrong business. But you're in the right business. Yeah, you're in the right. What is it public? What fucking system
up to 40 million.
Okay.
Key point up to.
Yeah, sure. Not 3.7 billion.
No.
Wow, I just got derailed from my point, but whatever.
It's a lot of money.
About billions, yeah.
But that was even a fraction of like PopCap got bought for 600 well, PopCap was up to $1.1 billion.
Interesting.
With initial money was $650 million.
Yeah.
With a potential earnout on top of that. But yeah, guess how much earnout PopCap got?
0?
Yep.
Jesus.
Did not hit any goals for that.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I was going to say is that Sony bought Bungie, and they kind of, according to reports, they've kind of been the games as a service tester, like testing the factions, Last of Us factions, and be like, no, it's not good enough. And then all of a sudden, like, Destiny's in trouble. So
yeah.
Know,
Yep. And everything that's been reported is kind of true. Sony wasn't saying telling Bungie they needed to do this. This was all internal Bungie.
Yeah, and there was some report too where it was like, so you've explored every option. Have you explored executive pay being lowered?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. What are you talking about, you crazy fuckers?
Yeah, why that?
Why would we do that? We're not Satoru Iwata.
Yeah. So that happened. And then in other news this week, BlizzCon happened, and I will say that it wasn't terrible.
What a ringing endorsement.
Actually, it was pretty cool. The highlight for me, I watched a stream of kind of the opening of it. Highlight, Chris Metzen back for Warcraft. Metzen is so good on stage.
Awesome.
Just so exciting. Like, he just has the charisma to present on stage. And he presented for World of Warcraft. And they announced their next 3 expansions. It's all one big story. That I don't give a fuck about. But I'm so out of that. I was like, oh, okay. Don't care.
Don't you have a computer?
Yeah, I was just like, that's cool. You at least maybe will tell a good story, because I've heard you haven't told a good story in a while in Warcraft. So here's hoping. But I'm like, I'm not going to go back and play. I don't care. Arthas is done, so I don't care. That was the end of my real deep care about Warcraft lore. But he was at least a cool stage presence. Like, you can't help be excited because he's just excited on stage. He's very good at about getting a crowd up there, and that was nice to see someone up there being very excited. It was like, oh, I've missed this. And they did a Diablo 4 thing.
The expansion. That's what
they announced the expansion.
Yeah,
for next
brand
year.
New class.
It will be a completely new. I was looking. There's been, when this latest patch came out for this season, there was some data mining, and it's held true. We're going back to Kurast, area.
Yeah.
That area chasing Mephisto.
D2, right?
Yeah, that's the jungles in D2.
Yeah, awesome.
Although they've named them something very specific now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I don't think D2 ever really named. It was Kurast. I think it might have been the city.
It was Kurast. Yeah,
that was the city. That was the city.
Yeah.
This is the whole jungle around it and the whole thing. So, like, there's a new name for it. And the name that's in the files for the new class is Spirit Guardian.
Spirit Guardian.
I saw it uses glaives.
Huh.
I thought that.
I saw a different name yesterday, but it was a name that was like a portmanteau or something. We're splitting up. We're pushing together names. What the fuck was the name? I swear it was not Spirit Guardian. I saw that doesn't mean that's not. That was the
Vessel of Hatred is the name. Spirit Born. Sorry.
There it was.
Spirit Born. Sorry,
yep.
I had the guard, but it uses glaives. I don't know. I'm like, cool. Give me something new. I'm here for this. I'm here for. If this is how they're going to do expansions, they'll do one a year, and they're going to do a couple of them at least.
That sounds fucking great, because, man, I don't know about the seasons or the what the fuck ever, but Diablo 4, like, moment-to-moment gameplay is pretty fucking great.
Yeah.
Until you
feels
get to the
real
end game.
Good.
It does.
Even the end game, they're making it better. They are consistently. After their initial patch that was really, really bad, I will say, over the past many months, they have improved communication and what the patches are doing, and they're just basically making the game, every patch, just making it better.
Good.
Piece by piece, getting rid of some of the atrocious grind aspects of it, just making it more player friendly. And so I'm like, man, by the time the first expansion come out, I bet this will be truly a pretty welcoming place for new people to come and be like, let's go. So, like Diablo 3 before it, just give it time. It will get there. I don't know why action RPGs have such a hard time landing it. I actually don't know of any that have not gone through pretty heavy amounts of rework and tuning after release at this point.
I feel like
Path of Exile is a live service game. Every 3 months, they're pretty drastically changing that game, and they've done some pretty big overhauls to that game over the years to just keep it relevant, fix things that people don't like. There's the early access one out right now, Last Epoch, which I've played.
Oh yeah,
I mean it's in early access. They're doing big changes between early access patches because, I mean, you can say it's not out because it's early access, but they are literally just tuning the crap out of this thing, changing itemization, changing class abilities pretty heavily, just trying to tune it before they get a 1.0. But I'm like, it's been in early access for years, so it blurs that line of, I'm like, is it released or not at this point? And you're just tuning.
I feel like as compared to other media, and maybe there are certain genres of game that are more susceptible to this, obviously, but like more than any other media, like whatever product you put out is like immediately in conversation with the audience, and the audience can shape it through their feedback. Yeah. So it just feels like the tuning for any ARPG happens because you haven't had that conversation yet, even if you've done early access, and then it doesn't stop. Eventually, I guess it peters out, but
it definitely feels like a conversation on those games. And you can, I know from a design standpoint, you can do your best like modeling of how players will play through it and the whole thing. But once you get millions of people hitting something, they're going to find things you didn't know. You're going to see hiccups in that modeling that you're just like, wait, the model didn't show that. Why is that happening this way? And you're like, because people, humans are humans, and we do weird things and unexpected things.
They will fuck shit up on purpose just to see what happens.
Yep. And you're like, holy crap. And usually, like, MMOs, anything, we got to talk about Destiny. Destiny's had it all the time. Like, anytime you get that live service MMO style thing going on, especially in RPG mechanics, people are going to break it. They're going to break it bad. And there's almost no way to there's no way I think a dev team has enough man hours and people on staff to actually prepare for that.
Yeah, exactly.
They can do their best, but they're not going to find it all.
I mean, you can't compete with millions of people.
No,
you know?
No, you can't. But that was pretty exciting seeing that. But like no StarCraft stuff was announced. Some new Overwatch heroes were announced.
Yeah, new looks like a Samoan or whatever,
Yeah.
perhaps character.
No new IPs. They're just kind of. I feel like this was them a stabilization BlizzCon of being like, okay,
Yeah.
can we stop the bleeding at this point and stabilize and start working on things to actually make people potentially excited again? So cross my fingers with Microsoft now that maybe they can keep that stability and move forward.
Fingers crossed. The Blizzard needs a shot in the arm.
They really do.
Because they have a bunch of great IPs, man. Like bring
they
some
do.
To
and they have a bunch of great employees and teams. It's just maybe now being out
leadership
from under
that
that leadership as it moves forward now will give them those teams some room to breathe and figure this out.
Yep. Well, that's cool. I'm glad there was a successful BlizzCon. What else has gone on this week? There was something else I wanted to talk about, and I forgot what it was. Oh, well. We've been playing a little bit of, or we've been watching this week.
It's true.
Alan Wake 2.
Yeah. You got to see the musical.
Oh, my God. Like, I knew it was coming, and I was waiting for it, and I knew it was awesome. And when it hit, I still wasn't ready for it.
Oh.
It was fucking wild.
And it keeps going.
Yeah, and then like he gets to the TV and it's like, okay, that's the end of the song. Okay, we're moving on to the next sec. Nope, more song. Oh, we're going again.
More song. Different song. Different part of the song, like jazz breakdowns.
Yeah, that thing was crazy.
And
it's just like
holy crap.
the story. Like this fucking game is wild. And I've got to assume in the last 4 hours you get through a whole sequence where it's like, and all of that you experienced didn't really happen, and this is like some other explanation for it, or like some other, weird shit.
There is weird shit, and I will say that the end of the game, it ties up some things, but it's not done because there's 2 DLCs coming for this.
Yep.
For one, and I'll be curious what they do. But you do have a bit more. Not a bit more. You have a lot more context for what is going on. And I feel like the goals at the end of the game, you're like, okay, now I know what the next bit has to be. Like, what is the actual goals that need to happen now? Because a lot of that what is reality, what is not, has kind of been pulled back, and you kind of get those answers of being like, oh, this is what's going on, and it was really good in that way. There's just still questions, and I'm like, do I have to wait for Control 2? Please no. Like,
that's
I want
to answer.
Away.
But we get those 2 packs or 2 DLCs, so that maybe
I get 2 DLCs, and I think they'll expand on this ending even more. You get one other amazing musical number. I'll say that.
I heard. Excuse me. I heard there was one more about a specific character.
Kind of. I mean, there's the old gods of Asgard give one more amazing performance.
Nice.
And it, the band is actually the Poets of the Fall. Is the band that is the real life band that is the old gods of Asgard, and their music is freaking cool. And they've had music in every Remedy game since Max Payne 2. Wow.
Okay. Well, and they finally hit the mainstream, maybe.
Yeah, and they are what the old gods of Asgard are modeled off of, the ones. So like they are the ones that are performing We Sing, like that's their song. Yeah, the music in the game is actually pretty incredible. I don't know, the playthrough that you're watching, they skip the end of chapter music, correct?
They do. Yep.
That's unfortunate.
Because I had no idea there was music.
It's so good. And I watched a little making of all of the songs for the end of chapter. They brought bands in and showed them the game and had them write music about the game and the scenes that they were seeing. Like, the songs matter and tell the story.
Oh, I thought for some reason the end of chapter music was all licensed music.
No, I mean, it kind of is. It's bands, but it is written specifically for Alan Wake 2.
Oh, they're not cover songs.
No.
Well, then why aren't they playing them in this thing?
I don't know, and they're really freaking good. They're so good, and they like do such a neat job, like weaving in the elements you just saw into the song and like what's going on. There's one you can find out on Apple Music. There's actual like Alan Wake 2 end of chapter music is an album that was released by Remedy on Apple Music and Spotify and everywhere.
Check that out.
And it has some of them, not all songs. The one it doesn't have is a song by Poe. Have you ever heard of this artist?
I have heard of Poe, yeah.
It's like the first release song that she's done in a long time. And it's like
for Alan Wake 2.
What's that?
Was for Alan Wake 2?
Yes.
Whoa.
And her song is so good.
Interesting.
It is a 9.5-minute song.
Very cool.
And yeah, it's Poe. I was like, I had to look up the history of Poe. And like, I realized at least one of her songs I remember hearing middle school, high school.
Yep.
And then I was like, why haven't I heard anything about this? Because she got fucked by the record industry.
Yeah.
And like ownership over her music.
Right. Like someone else owns the masters, basically.
She did originally, and then like
E6,
mergers happened, and she just completely lost it. And she couldn't do any of that music until. Yep. And then she had, I should say, other people were exploiting her and saying that they were helping, but they weren't. Just kind of taking money. So I don't know, but she's back for this game. They got her to do a song, and it is not like just her doing a song. It's her doing a song about Alan Wake 2, specific elements of Alan Wake 2. I don't know. The creative team here is just kind of insane to me. Who made this game? That they're willing to just go all in like this and be like, no, we're doing it this way. Sam Lake gave a thing saying that the production team was like, we can't do the musical, Sam. Like, how the hell is this going to work? And he was just adamant, like, we're going to do it. We're going to do the We Sing chapter. But he's like, it took him forever to figure out how to get it to work together.
I feel like I was thinking about as I was watching it, it's like the timing of this has got to be fucking wild, because what if the person doesn't walk as fast as you want them to? Like, what part of this song is looping?
There's a ton of audio pieces there that can loop. Like, the audio engineering and technical side of that is pretty incredible.
That would be wild.
Because stuff doesn't trigger until you move to a certain point, but it doesn't just trigger. It waits until specific progressions of the song, then to make the transition where it fits.
Yep.
Like, I'm like, my God, the actual like interactive audio engineering going on here is immense.
Yes.
Because people can go at all different speeds. The solos can go on for as long as they need to go on.
Right. Yeah, I was wondering if you could sit in a spot and just an endless solo.
It would.
Or if you could go through so fast that like you see very little of the song.
You could. Although it seems pretty, like the fastest I've seen someone go through it is still longer than the song by a minute or two. So I think the song's 14 minutes total. Because once you go through it in the game, you can listen to it again without. It's not interactive. It just goes through the whole thing, and you can sit there for 14 minutes just listen to the entire song. It's such a rock epic thing. Man, I could talk about the game. Like, I want you to finish it. The story is neat.
Yeah.
I'm bought in on Remedy now completely. I'm just like, yeah, let's do this. Give me more games. Let's go.
Makes you want to go play Control.
You should.
It's so connected.
I went back and started playing it. I played it further than I did ever before.
I thought you beat it for some reason.
No, okay. I didn't beat it. It's so good, though.
Yeah.
I knew it was a good game. I just don't know why I moved off from it, but it's super weird, but it's so committed to what it is. And then I posted that one segment, which is another Old Gods of Asgard song. The Control song where you're just going through a hotel maze and the world is all warping and moving around you, and it has that like hard rock ballad going on as you.
Is that after you visit room 665 or whatever?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not 6. Although that's awesome.
Yeah,
665 is referenced. I got further in Control. There's a character in there, Casper Darling, who is like the main research for the Federal Bureau of Control, who was actually played and voiced by the actor who voices Alan Wake. Only does the voice of Alan Wake, but in Control, Casper Darling is him as himself, as a person, like his actual, which isn't a funny connection, but
yeah.
And he at one point talks about something is like 665, neighbor of the beast, and he puts his fingers up on his head like horns, and I'm just like, okay, this has been around for a bit, I guess.
That's funny. Yeah, it seems like they had a lot of ideas cooking that have come to fruition. I'm at the Saga is fighting the hag in the old folks' home. That's when she met the Andersons.
Yep,
her grandpa or whatever.
Grandpa, the Thor and Odin, and all the Norse gods.
Oh yeah, he always has a hammer with him.
It's really funny. Have you got to the point where they tell like who her mom is?
I think so.
Her mom's Freya.
Oh yeah, yes, definitely. Yep.
So like, I'm like, okay, we're really going through the whole Norse mythology here, and like really diving into it, and not in a meaningless way. It actually matters. It's unexpected.
When does Kratos come out in this game?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's part you start getting more revelations around Saga and who she is, and like why she has the mind place and how she can use it, how she does.
I haven't got to that part yet,
which is really neat. Man, they towards the end of the game they use the mind place for some pretty amazing gameplay.
Yeah, I heard that it really wraps into something amazing.
It does. Yeah. It does really well. That's what I saw today that be used, and I was like, oh, get it. This wasn't just a fun way for the easy way to keep people on track, which it does, but it's not like used very much for the story as well. That's kind of how it feels. Like none of the stuff that's in there used from a like mechanic standpoint is there solely for the mechanics. Like there is story reason why it's happening as well, and it's used for the story.
It reminds me of Hades a lot, where like you build new things in and you're like, oh, that's a really cool way to play the game, and you're like, oh fuck, there's a story here.
Yeah. It's a deep story. So yeah, I've enjoyed watching that. I couldn't play it. I'm too scaredy. I'm too jumpy. Yeah. I would have a hard time. I'd be like, I'll just sit in the light. I'm safe now. I'm not gonna move.
Yeah, it must be a different experience, like being on the sticks, because watching it, I'm just like, it does not have any effect on me. I'm like, that's weird, because I'm not a big fan of scary stuff, and it's like, it's not. Like the images shooting in and out.
No, definitely watching it I haven't had nearly that. There was one part in this last section that I saw that even just watching the stream, I totally jumped in my chair. and even the streamer was like, rip headphones off
that's
head.
Crazy. Okay. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it was like, oh crap. And I think you could miss this jump scare too. They just chose to do a specific thing, and they're like, oh, I don't know. It was very unexpected. It was well played.
The game's a mindfuck, and it just the layers of meta are just really astounding.
Yeah, and I think it sticks to landing though. Like watching it to the end, I was like, I don't know how you're gonna pull this off, but I think they did, and they've left a couple things open that really want me to dive further and want to see how this plays out, and what Remedy the hell is building at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really cool. I went back and was playing through Control, having a blast there, finding the files that specifically reference Alan Wake that I sent to you. They're just in Control, because, I mean, you talk about them having this game. They wanted to do a sequel shortly after they released the first Alan Wake. Yeah. But Microsoft was like, no, we're not doing it.
Microsoft said no.
Interesting. Because Microsoft published the first Alan Wake.
Right.
And they said no to a sequel. And they just... Basically, it sounds like they spent these 13 years just reworking the story over and over. Just
clearly
doodling on it. And like doing Quantum Break and Control, and just being like using that time to mature the story as well. That's pretty good, I would think. They got time to do it. The studio didn't go anywhere.
Well, no, the result is like something that really, like, thank God Microsoft said no. Thank God they trashed 2 or 3 sequels ideas and landed on this eventually, and then just riffed the hell out of it, because I don't think this kind of thing comes as a piece of literature or whatever, doesn't come about,
quickly.
in a couple years. Like, this is something that does take that fucking long, which means Alan Wake 3, you ain't gonna see it for a long time, or else it's gonna be.
I think Control 2 is the continuation here. I don't know if I'll be interested to see what they finish off the DLCs with, and I could see them being like, there isn't a third Alan Wake. A sequel to this is Control 2 that continues the story threads here. There could be eventually be an Alan Wake 3 if they wanted to, but I don't know. I'd be curious how many total games that they would run this through. Because there's a big part of me that's like, I could totally see Control 2 pulling in Saga at some point, potentially, and like connecting these things a lot more. But because Control's DLC actually just straight up has Alan Wake in it at one point.
Right.
So,
the AWE, Alan Wake experience.
Yeah.
Has there ever been an interview with Sam Lake where he's like, yes, my favorite author is Stephen King, and I read everything he's ever done?
I don't know.
I'm so curious about that, because I just cannot. Still, to hour 10, I'm just like, this is Stephen King. This is an homage to Stephen King. There's no way this is not influenced in some way by Stephen King.
I mean, it totally is true. Yeah, I mean, he's said that it's inspired by Twin Peaks and Stephen King overall. He has said that. Like,
I want to know what Stephen King books he's read. Shining, The Dark Tower, and fucking On Writing, or the fucking.
Oh, sure.
On my list of the 3 books that he's read, one of those is nonfiction, but boy, I'm just impressed as fuck with the story. Like, I don't have my hands on the stick, so I assume it plays okay.
Weird.
A lot of the gameplay mechanics are really cool, but the fucking story is like, this is the wildest, best story of any game this year. And Baldur's Gate 3, I haven't gotten all the way through, so I can't say for certain, but this is great.
Yeah. Okay, I just put in Sam Lake, Stephen King, like, influences and stuff. And what is this from? There's a podcast called The King Cast from Fangoria, a Stephen King podcast for Stephen King obsessives. Episode 202, On Writing with Sam Lake.
Yes!
Remedy head honcho Sam Lake joins the King Cast boys to dive into Stephen King's On Writing and also answer some fanboy questions about his own Alan Wake video game series.
Called it. Man, yes. That makes so much sense.
I might just listen to this. It talks. We talked about Alan Wake, why it took so long to get a sequel, and just how King's writing has influenced his video game series.
When was that published?
Doesn't 202? It would have been a week ago.
Oh fuck, that's
October,
brand new.
like October 25th.
Okay. The Kingcast, you said. Check that out.
I will link it to you. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on everywhere. So
yeah, let me check it out. Kingcast. I use Overcast for mine.
I can't guarantee this is a good podcast, but I'd be curious Sam Lake's
On
take
Writing
on
with
this.
Sam Lake.
Yeah,
there it is.
I mean, you call it like, and is it
legit
good
as fuck right now?
And I mean, that's the thing with it, is it? I would hope that it doesn't come off as like, it come off as a good homage as opposed to just stealing ideas.
I love Stephen King to death. I've read almost everything he's written. This does not feel like a ripoff. It feels
like it's running with some of the ideas.
Yeah, it feels like I'm a fan. I'm influenced by his stuff, but there's also some other weird shit. But Stephen King's not the first person to do like a multiverse kind of thing. So, or writers influencing, reality. Man.
So there you go. That's a little podcast to listen to.
Excellent.
That could be fun, actually. I'm here for that.
Yes, for sure.
So that's all the Alan Wake quick stuff. I played Control. What else have I played? I played this demo of this. Kind of been a little obsessed with it. A few hours into it on Steam. A demo called Backpack Battles.
Is it like a Pokemon game?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's an auto battler.
Oh, interesting.
The art, I don't love the art, but the mechanics are really neat because you're buying items and stuff for your backpack and expanding your backpack, and how you put stuff in your backpack and adjacency bonuses. Think about inventory management matters, and then you auto battle other people's characters and how they have
online.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's asynchronous, so they're not online watching the battle. Like you upload your, like I think it's taking a snapshot of your current round, and you're trying to get 10 wins before you get 5 losses. And it's just a demo right now. The game's not out, but it's really addicting.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I also agree with you. The art style is not my favorite.
Nope.
Really not, but
the mechanics just keep me being like, oh, I want to do that. I want to mess with that.
What the fuck led you to this game? Someone told you about it or what?
People at work.
Oh, okay.
Like we saw it during Next Fest, and I just kind of had been like, I hadn't touched it yet. But I was like, sure. And it just has a demo. It's not coming out for
2024.
April 2024. Just has 2 classes, and it's just, yeah, it just auto plays out. I'm like, I'm here for a good auto battler, and you can spend as much time between rounds, like tweaking your inventory. You have limited. It's a lot like any other auto battler. You have a certain amount of currency after each round, and you can buy new things, sell things, try to organize your inventory. Things after there's like adjacency crafting bonuses, so like you'll put stuff together, and it's pretty clear if you're like put things next to each other, and it's like, oh, after this next battle, when you come back, they will merge together into a new item. So crafting recipes. So there's a whole leveling of items through crafting. I don't know. It's very mechanics. It's very me in that regard. I like this type of mechanic. Makes me just want to make an auto battler my own self. Maybe one day. That involved words and spelling. That'd be fun.
The dev team play with Furcifer. Yeah, their last game was Super Kill Boy 9000.
That's funny.
There's a toaster that is a fucking murderous toaster.
Okay.
All right. This is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I'm gonna download that demo.
It's simple. Like I said, pretty mechanically kind of addicting. It's just fun to plan things out and see how it goes.
Yeah.
I think that's most of it. Like we talked up front, most of my week has actually been spent with dealing with this whole buyout thing.
Either it closing or celebrating it closing.
Yes, that both of those things happened. But what have you been playing?
Let me stop Steam from downloading Counter-Strike 2 for some reason. It's doing that. I played a lot this week. A little burst. We played a bit of Super Mario Wonder. My daughter is very adamant that I don't play by myself anymore. She wants to play with me. So we played World 6 together today. Opened up Bowser's World, and now we're at Bowser's World. So I think we have 3 levels until we get to Bowser. So really close to the end of that game. I picked up WarioWare Move It, and we played yesterday, and it was a fucking ton of fun. It was so fun. We're just doing these 5-second mini games over and over again, playing this story mode or just a party mode. It was a lot of fun. The Joy-Cons don't always get the right inputs, so you kind of fuck up sometimes, and you have 5 seconds for a new game where you're like, within a split second, have to figure out what it's asking you to do, how to do it, how to win, and then try to win. So we played that. And then my colleague, her husband works for Sony, and they get codes sometimes, and they can give them away to friends or family. So he gave me a code for Modern Warfare 3. So I was like, oh, check out the campaign. And the campaign, you had texted me, you're like, that campaign is getting dragged right now. And It is.
I
It
even
is.
gave it a 4 out of 10.
Holy fuck! I didn't see that.
Holy crap!
It is. I will say I haven't played Call of Duty since Kevin Spacey was the antagonist, so that was a while ago. And I really enjoyed that campaign. This is not a campaign that's anything like that. You start out. I thought I was on the good guy team, and we start out breaking someone out of jail, but the person we break out of jail is the bad guy. Turns out my Americans were not; they were Russian, so they break out this Russian guy. And it's about Russia taking over this country called Uzbekistan or something. It's not a real country, but it's made to sound like a real country. Sure. Uzbekistan or something like that. I will tell you, I was away and just using my phone to enter the code and download. So I downloaded this huge thing, had to clear a bunch of games off my hard drive so I could install it. And then when I get home, ready to, tuck into the campaign, it's like, now you need to download the campaign. I was like, what the fuck what were the 100 gigs that I just downloaded? They were not for the campaign, I'll tell you that. And I will say, loading into Modern Warfare, Call of Duty, it's like a launcher for all their shit. So it's just like incomprehensible. I had no idea what was happening. I spent the first 5 minutes pinging me about different battle pass shit. I didn't know how to get the campaign. I didn't know what it was talking about or where I was. I was so confused. So that sucked. But then I loaded into the game. Because I haven't played Call of Duty for quite a while, it's kind of thrilling. Like the moment to moment gameplay is pretty thrilling. There's like not a ton of set pieces, but I don't know, kind of when the rubber hits the road and you're like, you got to do this thing quick. Like it's kind of exciting. The shooting feels good. The gunplay feels good. And then there's some cinematics, and the voice acting, whatever, is pretty good, and the cinematics are pretty good. And there's like this heartfelt scene between these two women, and all of a sudden the fucking bullet flies through the window and shoots the woman in the head. So it's just one woman. It's just like chaos, and it just like fucking scared the shit out of me, to be honest. The reviews, if you've seen any of them, it kind of talks about how it's basically like Warzone maps where they put little story threads in, and that's really what it feels like so far. Like there's this big, huge map where there's 3 helicopters around the map, and you've got to destroy the helicopters. So kind of run around and do that. But there's not really like a story happening. So that was kind of easy to do. There's another one. It was like a nuclear reactor or something where you're trying to like infiltrate. And I thought it was really fun because it was very tactical, trying to like stay out of sight of like the 20 people who are there and take them out one by one, and figuring out, failing and figuring out how to do it better. That actually felt pretty good. So because I haven't played Warzone, I haven't played Call of Duty, I'm like, oh, this is all new to me. This seems really interesting. But for everyone else who's played Call of Duty, this has got to be like mind numbing, to be honest. And then I got to like the 3rd level, where you're supposed to that same level, sorry, where I'm supposed to get out of the reactor, get out before it blows or whatever. And then halfway through the tunnel, I come face to face with this enemy juggernaut, which I can't beat. Like nothing I have hurts it. It fucking takes me out in one hit. I've tried everything that I can think of to get past it or beat it. I can't. So I'm like, I gotta watch a video to figure out how people do something, or I'm missing the right tool or something. But I can't get past this one enemy, and he keeps like fucking glitching through cars. Like I'm trying to hide behind a car, and then he just walks through the car and kills me. It's like, what the fuck is happening? So moment to moment stuff was fun. I think there's a few mini set pieces that were kind of thrilling, but overall, the idea that it's Warzone maps with like they tried to like cobble together some sort of campaign within a year, like it really does. All the bad reviews you've seen are true, and those are written by people who've played a lot of Call of Duty. I have not, so I was like, oh, it's okay. I'd probably give it like a 7 so far, but a 4, wow, that's pretty low.
There's not a lot of pre-reviews, and none of them are higher than a 5.
Wow. That's like lost your way.
Nothing is over 50%. So I'm feeling that it's not going to be great. It officially releases this Friday.
The 10th or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Well.
Yikes, man.
Microsoft has their hands full trying to fix this shit. Actually, probably wouldn't be bad to take a little bit of pause on the campaigns if they're getting to this point. Because I think the last few haven't. I mean, they've been fine, but they haven't been nearly as like you don't see a lot of positivity around them. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. Where I can say like early Call of Duty, like I played Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 back in the old Call of Duty before that. And they had very thrilling campaigns, I will say.
They have. Yeah.
I've moved on myself as a player from it,
Yeah.
but I do remember Modern Warfare 1 and 2 campaigns pretty like they had some pretty incredible set pieces. Like it just felt like playing an action movie and it felt great.
It's like a summer blockbuster. It's kind of how it always has felt, yeah.
And it just has felt like those set pieces are kind of still there sometimes, but there's just been less and less emphasis on the campaign as time goes on, which makes sense because the money doesn't come from the campaign. It comes from the PvP side of things. Yet people, I don't know, at some point you're like, do you even do a campaign anymore? Like really? I don't know at this point what the future plans are for this series.
Yeah. Feels like they're running out of ideas and time.
Yes.
So, yeah, wow, 4. This review is fucking harsh. Underbaked, rehashed, and cobbled together from multiplayer parts. That's exactly what it feels like.
God, there's so many teams worked on this too. Holy crap.
When you first load it up, it just Beanox, Raven, it just goes on and on. Lists them all, you know? Crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's just kind of sad. But you got a nice code. You got to play it. Try it out.
Yeah. No, I feel like I'm enjoying it more than these reviewers are, and I will, if I can get past, I'm going to figure out to get past this motherfucker
thing.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I've been streaming, so if you watch the second video of my stream, you just see me trying to beat this guy again and again, and just like fucking just quit in the middle, just give up. So I'll come back later. Other thing that I've been playing is, and only for half an hour, is Ebenezer and the Invisible World.
Right.
Which is a Metroidvania. They call it themselves a Metroidvania.
All right.
2D Metroidvania, using the Christmas Carol novella by Charles Dickens as its IP basis. And you are fucking Scrooge. You're beset by a ghost who's telling you the story of a industrialist who was visited by 3 ghosts in the night and was about to change his ways when a 4th ghost came and told him, fuck those other ghosts, listen to me, and fuck everybody. And then hardens his heart. So our job is to like unharden his heart, I guess. And along the way you meet ghosts, and the ghosts give you different abilities. There are badges. They're called heirlooms in this game, but it's like Hollow Knight badges a little bit.
Okay.
It's competent so far. It's punishing in terms of the save system. Like you do have to save in a fucking save room or you lose all your progress. Like I played for 10 minutes, got to a save room, played for 20 minutes, didn't find a save room, died, lost those 20 minutes, lost everything.
Oof.
So, that's kind of doesn't respect your time. That kind of sucks. But I just will keep it in mind and come back to the save room constantly.
Sure.
So I don't lose that progress. But after I played, I was like such a good mood, and I was like making breakfast for the family. I was like, wow, it just feels like Christmas. And my wife was like, what? It's fucking November 5th, whatever it is. And I was like, oh God, why do I feel? Oh yeah,
because you're playing a Christmas.
Because I was playing this Christmas game. I read the Christmas Carol every December. So it's cool to, I don't know. This is built for me. Like there'll be 5 people in the fucking world who play this game, and it's me because I love this fucking story. So
how did you learn about this?
How did I? Oh, fucking Reddit. Someone had posted it on Reddit, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I looked at the trailer. It's like, oh my God, it's the Christmas Carol. It's a Metroidvania. I have to play this game. It's probably going to be bad. I don't care. I got to play it.
I only ask because it just reminds me, of a game that's just going to be on Steam that's going to go nowhere. Like, it's not going to get any kind of visibility out of Steam. And just, I don't know. It's the type of game that you're just like, okay, there's thousands of games that show up on Steam a week. How does this one stand out?
Right, and how do people find things? Like, like Metroidvania, yes, me. This art style is pretty good. I would like to play games in that art style. Fucking the Christmas Carol, me. How do they find a person like me? They didn't. Somebody just posted it.
Yeah,
said, I played this game on Reddit. And here's what I thought of it. I was like, what the fuck? It came out 2 days ago. It came out on Friday.
It only has 9 user reviews.
There you go.
Probably less at that point. Less than 200 sales.
Yeah.
Would be my expectation.
I bought it on PS5, so there's obviously
Oh
different.
yeah, okay, maybe you got something there. It's just unfortunate. It's like, man, this always makes me sad for devs who do get to release a game and clearly put some passion into what they're making. Just how do you get seen? It's almost impossible.
Well, as I was playing it, it could obviously have used a bigger